Hello again, everybody. Diabetes the Second here, and I have for you today some post-game commentary for a Winter League 2024 Week 5 practice seed, Catastrophe Chaotique, or the Chaos Part 2. As I've done with the previous seeds in this series, my goal is to provide a little bit of insight from a experienced DWR runner as to how I might think about, cope with, and otherwise tackle some of these non-standard flag sets. Asterisk and grain of salt and all that my approaches may not always be the right approaches, they may not suit your play style or the way you think about it, and they just may not be the most efficient overall. So keep that in mind as we go. Auto Tracker is available in the bottom left corner. I did not have access to actually seeing this while I was playing, but I thought it's good for both illustration purposes as well as for viewing. You can point out certain things along the way and keep track of where we are and where we're hoping to go. So in this Chaos flag set, most things are going to be randomized to random on, particularly in terms of the enemies. So that'll be something to play around here, and that's probably the most notable thing about this flag set. We'll talk about its implications here right from the beginning. 2 quest items in the throne room. Fairly meager stats, a cave right outside. And that is the mountain cave. Worth walking in, potentially seeing if we can dig a chest out. Never know when something important is right around the horizon. A torch. It's a good offensive option, so that's certainly nothing to complain about. Obviously there were better things we could have found, but that is certainly something that could be helpful. Able to get away from the metal scorpion, down to the 2nd floor, pick up another chest, which is good. Magic key, that is potentially super important. So key access right away. Looks like the red slime is going to send us back to the king. We can take the opportunity to heal, use that key in the throne or treasury, see if we find anything useful there. Potentially check the basement, see if there's anything in that direction. Do the torch as well, which we can use to throw at an enemy, get a kill. Unfortunately, after seeing what the king told us there, we need quite a few experience points to get off of level 1, not what you want to see. In the treasury, the fairy water, the key. So we can maintain key access and get more fairy waters, and another key is going to allow us to check the basement. And then we've got wings. Probably the least helpful of the things that we found there. A little unfortunate we didn't end up opening the fairy water chest last. Although every time we do take a death, we can go into the treasury, burn 1 key, pick up 2 more, so actually increase our key count, and pick up a fairy water for a trouble. Stone's Cave in the basement. Not the bamboo pole, but the herb. Okay, that's an herb grind. Again, not the worst thing to find here in the early game. Don't have a healing spell, so now we've got a way to restore hit points. I didn't save after picking up the fairy water and torch. I'm going to call out what I think is a mistake right now, and that is not throwing a torch or fairy water here at the metal scorpion. We know, based on what we've seen, we can pick up fairy waters infinitely if we choose to, whether that's by doing so after a death refill, if it's by exiting and re-entering the castle. So I think there's certainly no harm in just going ahead and throwing one of those and trying to get a kill here. We do have, among other things, random monster stats, random monster XP and gold rewards, random prices, random XP requirements per level, as we've already seen, 18 experience points needed for level 2. Heal and hurt will be learned before more. No scared scaled metals because it doesn't really make sense in the context of chaos monsters. Speed hacks are on, but not fast text. Summer sale will be enabled for all the items, or all the weapons and equipment and such. So in addition to being random prices, they should on average be lower. Full-size map. Treasure guards are enabled, so we're not going to stumble into sword or armor easily. And then in the late game, we'll look at easy Charlog, which again, may not be easy. Ghost Ambush. No good. Good choices here to continue to go back into the throne room, pick up the fairy water, pick up the keys. We had the wings for a quick egress before, but I think picking it up and then using it probably about the same in terms of time usage versus just walking out. If the guard blocks us, it would make sense to pick it up and use it, but otherwise I think we're okay. Alright, max fairy water roll does not take out the Magic Wyvern, and a second one doesn't either. Unfortunate. So you could consider that a waste of fairy waters, but we gained valuable information even though we didn't gain any experience points for it. In this Chaos enemy set, it's usually a pretty good idea to try to identify what is considered the noodle or wet noodle enemy that's in Zone 0 around the castle. Typically that's going to be an enemy with a max of 5 hit points. Something that can be killed quite easily, is quite weak otherwise, isn't going to have abilities that are going to wipe you off the map. Won't yield a lot in terms of rewards, but it can get you off the ground. That's going to require paying attention to what enemies do, it's going to require paying attention to what enemies are found where, so identifying zone boundaries, which can be difficult when you have this wide open pool of enemies that can be in any location. I seem to be finding druids and ghosts and things to the east. To the west here I'm fighting more like Magic Wyverns. I think we've seen a Metal Scorpion over here as well. Metal Scorpion's really what I'm looking for. We got a kill easily on one for 15 experience points. One more would be enough for at least level 2. Game is just not cooperating, however. It do be like that sometimes, though. We'll continue to go into the treasury, pick up our fairy water, pick up our keys. Almost a full complement of keys, in fact, now. Okay. Oh, okay. Scorpion says no. Metal Scorpion, fine. Scorpion, nope. No decisions and thoughts here in the early game. We do have the cave, which it looks like I'm going to head back into, see if I can dig out another chest. We didn't fight or find much adversity the first time through until we got downstairs, but the werewolf says, actually... We certainly can go out and explore, look for a nearby town where we might be able to upgrade our equipment. We could stand here waiting for the guard to move and hope that he does. He doesn't. Eventually, we were able to get by him, and now he's blocking our exit, so it makes sense to pick up those wings and just say, you know what? You're no fun. Goodbye. The positive upsides of exploration would be generally finding a town where we would be able to buy some cheap equipment. That said, we've got basically no gold until we just killed the Axe Knight here with a single fairy water. That's a nice find. It's not worth much in terms of experience points, but it's worth a decent bit in gold. We learn Hurt here at level 2, which could be a big help. And the Metal Scorpion's a free kill, but no additional levels. Right, physical attack's not enough for the wizard. We've got one hurt cast. Plus we already used one fairy water. Will a second fairy water be enough? No. And with a hurt now, it probably makes less sense to keep doing the fairy water grind. Certainly there's the possibility that there's one of these enemies out here that we could kill, but it has high hurt resistance. Remember that with these chaos enemies, that all your resistances are also randomized and flipped around. So not the same things that we're used to are going to be resistant to spells like Sleep Stop Spell and hurt more. Potential downsides to exploration and favoring that approach. Without bounded enemies, we might be getting absolutely wrecked quite easily. Enemies can more easily roll extremely high agilities that are hard to run from. We've only got 16 agility to have a chance to run. Even if we do get to a town, it has to roll very, very low gold or whatever we want to purchase. And even if we were to have a location that would have what we would think of as a free sword or armor, recall that we have treasure guards enabled for this seed. So, no free sword and no free armor. We're going to have to be able to beat what is a mid-range enemy. Except, maybe the mid-range enemy is actually free. So keep in mind with this flag set as well, although your spike tile enemies, in terms of the legitimate spike tiles, the ones we think of, the one in the Swamp Cave, on the Hawksnest tile, and then eventually in Charlock on that spike tile, are going to be ruled to be the toughest enemies of the Chaos enemies. For the quote-unquote mid-range treasure guards, it actually keeps the ones from the vanilla flag set. So, we're expecting things like your Goldmen and your Wyverns and your Rogue Scorpions and such. If they roll very, very poor, they may actually be easy to take out. On the other hand, they may roll worse than the worst Red Dragon you can imagine, so again, it's a bit of a 50-50 scenario when it comes to that. But regardless, we're going to have to fight something if we were to stumble upon the armor or sword. Game is really not cooperating here in the early game. It seems like we're fighting the same handful of enemies, but not really getting the full complement, right? We've really only seen the Magiwyvern's Scorpion and Metal Scorpion here to the west. We've really only seen the Druin and Ghost to the east, and now all of a sudden there's a Red Dragon. Where did that come from? It was taken out easily with a hurt and gave us 30 plus XP. Where's that been for the last 12 minutes? Certainly we're not far enough away to have not seen it. And now a knight. Again, where did you come from? Okay, well, I'm less excited to have seen you now. The knight has Stop Spell and Punch more. Alright, the Druid's fairly easy to take out and worth 106 experience points. Jeez, what a huge upgrade. Where has that been the entire seed? Well, unfortunately, we just never got 2 attacks in on one. So if we were able to throw 2 Fairy Waters or cast Hurt twice, we would have been able to take one out much earlier and get far ahead of where we even are now. So that's a bit unfortunate, but it's what we have to deal with. $39 XP for the next level, something I'm definitely guilty of and really is important to pay attention to what the king says. Or XP to level. Ghost is another free kill for 30, that's not too bad. I definitely agree with going to this zone here to the east. It seems to have better enemies, both in terms of things we can actually kill and things that are actually worth something. So the Ghost, Metal Scorpion are easy but not super lucrative, but if we can find those Druids, are a little bit stronger but easily taken out with 2 hurt casts. Pretty meager stats for level 6, but Heal More is good. really have the HP to necessitate using it. But we have the option. Another quick level up on the Ghost. Again, quite meager stats. Repel. Repel is another one of those spells that, on its surface, especially in Standard, is really, really, really helpful. It's one of the few spells that I will continue to grind for, even though it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to grind otherwise, simply because it accelerates the exploration and the walking around the map that much. In Chaos, with these randomized enemy stats and rewards, it makes a lot less sense to cast it a bunch, because your very easy enemies may be your very lucrative enemies, and the very difficult ones that you're not going to be repelling anyway may not be worth much. So really, it makes more sense to use in the context of like a Sharlock dive, where my stats are already good to go, or I just need to get places. So early repel, not that great. Finally, a big attack power boost there at level 8. Got some HP to go along with it. We can now not hurt everything. We can actually punch a few times. Fortunately, some of our near-home enemies are now starting to run away. We've already seen the Red Dragon, the Ghost, now the Metal Scorpion all running away. So it could incentivize some exploration. It'd be nice if we could find some Druids. They're worth a good bit of XP. The rest are okay. But not great. Can we fight golems now? Apparently not. Cast hurt multiple times, it never seems to work. It does way too much damage, doesn't die easily. 259 for the level, so after a slow start, a bunch of levels stacked together there in the middle, now another spread to get to level 9. And another enemy where it's like, where have you been the whole seed? Although not easy to take out, apparently. Quite strong, so you didn't miss it. But it sure would have been nice to know it's there. Given how the grind is slowed down, looks like we're going to go head out for some exploration. Not an unreasonable thing to do. Again, we've got certainly better stats. We've got healing. One thing that would be pretty useful in a lot of cases would be the sleep spell. And since those resistances are randomized out, we may be able to get away from some pretty nasty enemies by utilizing it. Shouldn't have attacked there. Got away with it. Star Wyvern just casually following me through the desert. Small lake there. Bunch of branch points, some plains tiles to the north, and we have a town. It is Camplin. Well, this would have been nice to find a long time ago. Would we have purchased anything worthwhile? Magic armor for 35 bucks is looking pretty good. The rest is fairly unimpressive. 1200 for a copper sword is not great. Certainly I would take 10 attack power, but hopefully we can find a cheaper hand axe broadsword or flame sword. Broadsword for almost exactly 1,000. Full plate is very expensive. We'll take the large shield for less than 100. And a weapon would be good game. Welp. Apparently not. So nothing worth noting here. I have enough MP and herbs to go ahead and check for coordinates. Key count is fine. "24 south, 15 east." Could be fairly easy to count. Haven't really gone in that direction yet, so hopefully it's easily accessible. It will be treasure guarded if it's one of the key quest items, or a piece of Erdrick's gear. So that should help us identify it, if nothing else. Right. No money. Looking like the top of the map here with that big flat edge. Druid's a great enemy to encounter, as we've seen. Less so for the slime. With the death refill out of a dead end, gives us the opportunity not only to explore in a different direction, but also potentially to count coordinates, which I probably should do right now. If for no other reason than I have the information as to what is on the spike tile. It appears I'm not going to do that though, instead heading off to the mountain cave, seeing if I can dig out what's there. Big upgrades for defense with the magic armor, so it's worth, if I can check the rest of the chests here, a look at least. Nice crit. Not enough. And it's too strong to do damage to. Probably means it's got high agility, which probably means it's going to be tough to run from. So casting Hurt actually probably makes the most sense. It's worth quite a bit. Worth keeping in mind for later. Another uninspiring stat gain level. Definitely a mistake to not have healed in between battles there. Werewolf is going to make us pay. Can we run? Surprisingly, the answer is yes. Already checked chest number 2. We're going to head up to the northwest corner. Checks 3 and 4. Gold. And a potential treasure guard here in the Rogue Scorpion. Easy one-shot. 221 is very good. And it's the Silver Harp. Quest item number 3, in fact. So any treasure guards for the future will be Erdrick's gear. No treasure guards on either the Death Necklace or the Fairy Flute spots. Another crit. Wraith Knight's not worth much, though. No treasure guard. Fighter's Ring. Eh, 2 attack power, sure. Why not? Double checking, making sure I actually put the dragon scale on. I've certainly had instances where I bought it or picked it up and didn't use it, threw it away, and was like, well... Alright, now would be a good time to count those coordinates. Or not. I guess just doing some vague exploration to the southeast in general will let us see if we can possibly or probably walk there. It's looking like the answer is yes. eastern edge of the map. And a very punch-heavy Warlock. The agility is still fairly meager. Probably would be a good idea to... Aha! Now we're counting. Maybe. Good idea to just continue the grind here. At least the Druids are pretty lucrative. Rough. Well, I've counted to at least the spot that I was already. Why am I still fighting Wraith Knights? They're not worth anything! Are you my treasure guard? It seems like you are. Unfortunately, we don't do a whole lot of damage, probably should be casting hurt. Fortunately, he has high hurt percentage, but we're gonna have to stay very highly healed and hopefully not get hit too hard in the process. Teams in attack power and hit points, certainly going to help things out. Struggling to re-find that spike tile. Or treasure guard. Oh, but another easy level up. You'll love to see it. Oh, hurt more. Well, that's going to make this hopefully a lot better. Okay, yeah, he's got well over 100 HP. There was no way we were going to plink that down doing 5 to 7 damage at a time. And it is indeed the sword, so huge offensive pickup. We just picked up a lot of attack power by the way of strength. We now picked up a bunch by way of Erdrick's sword. And just off to the east here we find the Druid Lord, a cave, and Arlott Castle. Opting not to cast Hurt more here instead of just trying to take it out, although it certainly wouldn't have one-shot it. Based on how much we've done here with physical attacks, and Hurtmore didn't even work anyway. And it dodged multiple times. Wonderful! 3 dodges! So dodge also is randomly rolled, again within a boundary range, but something to factor in for the chaos enemies. 4 dodges. And then a crit. Fun. Probably not worth 100 XP, but we take the wins when we get them. Sleep could be very valuable. Another crit. Okay, now blue dragons at 240. That's looking pretty nice. If we could find more of those, we're in business. Alright, it is the Staff Cave, so we do turn in our harp. Now we only need to find the Rainbow Drop Cave. We already know where Sharlock is, obviously. Okay, we've already seen that area to the north, confirm that there's nothing else stuck in between. Pretty much out of resources. Not necessarily going to press exploration, I'm not that far from home. But if we can explore a little bit, we do have a full complement of herbs to utilize. Pick up any levels along the way. There's another decent enemy there with the Wolf Lord. Can we kill it without a crit? Doesn't do much damage. Anything worth triple digits in my book is pretty good. Blue Dragon better, obviously, but that's still not bad. Okay. Since we're a little bit further away, opting to try to stay alive here. A couple of options for direction of exploration. Still fighting Wraith Knights for some reason. Right, that continues on there. I think hoping for a closer dead end, which it looks like we do find. Alright, metal slimes, not to be messed with. Sleep and high attack power, not a good combination for us. Alright, officially out of resources, no more healing items, but a town on the horizon if we can get there. And it is Garenham, so we can fill up on herbs, we can check some chests, we can stay at the inn, we can look for some discount equipment. Although, realistically, it's only the Silver Shield now that we care about. Still worth checking. Nothing there in the shop. Check the back. Aha! Treasure Guard means Erdrick's armor. So at this stage, now only the Fairy Flute and the Death Necklace unfound, so realistically there's no reason for us to check anything. Again, remember that with Chaos enemies, the Golem is really not going to be the concerning enemy. It's not going to be on a spike tile unless it happens to also have rolled in those top couple of enemies. With Chaos enemy stats comes Chaos Dragon Lord, which really dissuades us from pursuing the Death Necklace as an option. So we saw at the grave in its vanilla spot in the back of Garenham and decided, you know what, it's not worth checking at all. Find Garenham off here to the west, or Rim here to the west. Hopped in, was like, oh wait, I don't need to check anything, it's fine. And it's like, well wait, actually I should probably check the shop. And go exactly one step, run into a poltergeist that takes me out before I even have the chance to pirouette back into town. Thanks, game. Good stuff. Well, Scorpion's still problematic. Hurtmore didn't take it out. Punchmore took us out. Goldman not really worth the time investment. 50 XP is okay, but not worth multiple swings or Hurtmores. No, the Wolf Lord's pretty good. We'll certainly take that fight. Wolf Lords seem to be in a lot of places. Makes sense to continue to fight them as we encounter them. Druins too. Oh, okay. Apparently not green dragons. I should recognize that the Druid Lord is certainly not worth the time investment. It's going to take like 6 or 7 attacks to kill. Worth a decent bit of experience points, but not nearly enough. And we'll continue on the exploration train. Again, no reason to fight this, so calling out mistakes when I see them. Fighting the Druid Lord is definitely one of them. Blue Dragon, on the other hand, that is by far the best enemy that we have seen. If we can get that in desert tiles, which it looks like I'm pivoting to looking for right away, this is a good idea. And the only things we're really looking for now is a way to turn in our quest items for the rainbow drop, and levels to win the game. Perhaps I finally learned my lesson. No more Druid Lords, please. Not liking the encounters here. Unfortunately, the Blue Dragons mixed in with those Druid Lords, which are a pain in the butt. There is still the possibility, although it's not a great one, that a spike tile enemy would be superior to this. Obviously, in Standard, it's something that most people do in most runs. Certain cases, there is a better opportunity to do a walking grind if, let's say, your spike tiles are bad, they're stone men, or things with nasty abilities, or things that we're not capable of taking out reliably. With random rewards here, it's very possible that our spike tiles don't give much of anything at all. That said, there is the chance that they could be very lucrative, so it is worthwhile to potentially check. It's certainly a lot better than walking around looking for a single enemy in a zone. Rogue Scorpion was pretty good there. We took it out with a single crit at 221, so that's really the second best enemy we've seen this seed, outside the Blue Dragon, which is number 1. There's another potential area to walk around in. The skeletons here, although they have heal more and they do a lot of damage, they are worth quite a bit, over 100, which is good. The Wolf Lords are also in the area, also over 100, one-shottable with a physical attack. Kinda sucks we're finding the skeletons have some hurt more resistance. Wyvern's also fairly free, 100 XP. So yeah, as we kind of settle into find the Rainbow Drop Cave and grind mode, again kind of reflecting on what we've done so far, where we're hoping to go, and how to cope with this flag set. Again, it's just that balance, as it always is, between exploration and grinding. I think in general, grinding is probably favored unless you have some cash to start with. If you have some cash and might benefit from a town where you could find potentially really strong gear for cheap, I think it's worth doing that. That said, you may also be incentivized to pick up early levels quickly if they happen to be stacked together. Of course, we don't know from level to level outside of what the king tells us. But especially if we learn early heal or hurt, we know that hurt more, heal more could be right around the corner. The only guarantee with heal and hurt before their respective more spells is that one will be learned before the other. Doesn't mean that heal more and hurt more will be late. It could be hurt at 2 and hurt more at 3. You don't know. With the random XP and gold from enemies, as well as the randomized stats, resistances, etc., I think it's really important to take notes along the way, or at least take particular note of enemies that are very good and where you find them, because chances are an overworld grind is what you're going to need to do if you have to do a grind at all. It's always a possibility that we gain stats and levels so quickly We don't need to do a dedicated grind, and it's more of a scramble to find the things. But certainly worth keeping in mind. Personally, I like to have a full list of the enemies and give little checkboxes or X's or whatever next to things based on what they have, what they do, what they're susceptible to, whether they're worth fighting or not. Right, way down here in the southwest, we find Swamp Cave. No incentive to save the princess, but we can certainly at least check the spike tile, see if it's anything. Oh, werewolves are defense broken now. Still can't fight them efficiently with physical attacks, but a single hurt more for 125 is very close to what we did expect in standard flags for a good hurt more enemy. So perhaps testing my luck, see exactly how much hit points, or how many hit points do they have? And even though we're not taking much in the way of damage, this is not efficient. Spike tile, Druin Lord. Diabetes, have you learned your lesson? No. However, I think what I am doing here is saving the princess for a different reason. So, I'm of mixed mind as to the utility of saving the princess in random XP per level. It makes sense, obviously, if you need to count coordinates out and she can be of use. I think there is some incentive to doing so to learn where your levels are going to be. Probably less so in the early and mid-game, and most especially toward the end, but it can be useful all along the way. If suddenly you have a level that's 3000 XP away somewhere in the middle of the game, it's probably saying, well, I need to go explore now. I'm not going to gain anything by grinding too quickly, so it's probably better off to go look for sword, armor, upgrades, things like that. At the same time, I don't know if it's a specific priority. In this case, we'll probably carry her around as we finish exploration here. No outside, so got to fight the Druin Lord again to escape. So it's helpful in that type of instance. It's also helpful potentially in the late game. If you've got borderline stats and you're thinking, this might be good enough to go, and you see that the next level is only 200 XP away, well, it's like, well, that's, you know, depending on your enemies, 1 or 2 more kills away, that's not a big deal. We can work with that. You see that it's 5,000 away, it's like, well, I guess I'm going to have to go with my borderline stats, because it's certainly going to be faster to dive and get information, or fail, than it is to grind that much more in terms of experience points. So there is definite benefit to having the princess, but I personally don't make it a specific priority to go out of my way to save her. There we go. There's the Rainbow Drop Cave right on the other side of Swamp. Not immediately returning home, looking for exactly what we just had pop up on screen. Or not. It's coal. Suppose we can look for a silver shield. Nope. There's the Fairy Flute. Theoretically, that's mostly just clogging the inventory. It's not really doing us much benefit. Odds are that we're not going to be using the flute against golems or anything. And even if we're the Death Necklace, again, chances are we're not going to want to use that with the Chaos Dragon Lord in play. Benefit really would have been in possibility of a Hawksness grind. $17.15 for the next level, so it's not right away. So now it comes to determining whether we are Dragon Lord ready, Sharlock ready, or not. It's difficult to say when that comes. We haven't seen too many super dangerous enemies so far. And Sharlock tends to be a conglomeration of enemies that may have really nasty strength, but really weak defense. So we can run from them quite easily. Or maybe they're very, very defensive and have nothing in the way of attack power, so we can repel them. Maybe we can put them to sleep. So, on average, I would say Sharlock is less the concern, and more so, it's the Dragon Lord. So my thoughts in general on prepping is not to look at, well, what are my quote-unquote attacks to win? Right? It's how much damage do I think I can reasonably do, assuming I can get to Dragon Lord Part 2 with all of my resources intact. So looking at your attack power, figuring out your range, figuring out how many swings you're going to get based on the number of heal mores that you have, and figuring out how much damage you can comfortably do on average. Dragon Lord Part 2, 100 to 230 max HP. Ideally, obviously you want to get as high as you can, but sometimes the game doesn't incentivize you to do that, or puts levels very far apart to disincentivize that. Looking at current stats, 123 attack power is not particularly good. 5 to 11 damage, 8 on average with 9 heal mores. We're barely gonna get, if we're lucky, up to 100, so we're not ready yet by any means. We also have 59 agility, which isn't great. And Dragon Lord 1, as much as we discount him in Standard, can be a force to be reckoned with in Chaos random XP, or sorry, random stat enemies. He could be a total pushover with 50-something HP, and no attack power and no worthwhile abilities, or he could be an absolute powerhouse with 200 plus in most stats, and devastate you. Okay, 6,000 XP for the next level. We gained a bunch of hit points, and now I have to really think about this and do the math. Again, attack power-wise, we're not really there yet, but if Dragon Lord 1 is not too bad, Dragon Lord 2 doesn't roll too high of HP, and perhaps if Dragon Lord 2 especially rolls Sleep or Hurt, we get a successful stop spell and he wastes a bunch of turns. It's not unreasonable, it's possible. Of course, we also have to get there fully intact. We don't know what Sharlock's gonna look like. Hopefully it's not too bad. But it's something to consider. With a very big gap there, it would seem to make sense to at least try. Maybe a waste of time. We might get absolutely demolished. But grinding means we don't even have the opportunity to see where we are. Interestingly, we are going into the back of Garenham. What are we doing here? curious. We're going into the grave. The only thing I could possibly be looking for is the Death Necklace. And again, for various reasons, it's not ideal. To utilize, particularly because of what Dragonlord Part 1 may be. That said, if Dragonlord 1's not bad, it's actually not too terrible. So it was, I guess, at least worth checking the top 3 chests really quickly. It does look like I'm going to go ahead and check the basement, which is less ideal. And I'm also going to run out of keys to do so. So if the Death Necklace isn't here, I can't even check the Charlock Treasury for it, as it stands, unless I dedicatedly buy keys. Overall, I think that checking the top 3 chests was at least defensible, although probably not warranted. Deep diving here is probably a mistake. We're gonna waste time, at least waste time grinding. Granted, we are fighting enemies along the way and gaining at least some experience, but not nearly as much as we would where we were. We're also not gaining information about what Charlock looks like, what the Charlock Spike Tile is, what the Dragonlord looks like. Who knows, maybe it'll pay off, you never know. Alright, Vanilla Harp Chest. Is it the Death Necklace? No. And now I realize the other fatal flaw of doing what I just did. Level 16, outside. Not only did I not find what I was looking for, which was already speculative, I also did so in a way that is going to require me to backtrack a long way. Alright, the walkout was not too bad. This is not the way to Charlock. Diabetes, where are you going and what are you doing? And why are you fighting gold men that are not worth that much and have way too much hit points? Sometimes you just get an idea in your head, and you can't break away from it fast enough. Now, coming back to Rim to check for a Silver Shield, not unreasonable. Having the extra defense certainly would be helpful. Right, no keys. And coming back to Rim to buy keys, also not unreasonable. If you really want to Death Necklace check, you needed more keys to do so in Charlock. And it's a dragon scale. Well, we found Hawksness. Do we have a good spike tile? Do we have a death necklace? We shall see. Now we have a Spectre that can't do a lot of damage to us, and to whom we can also not do a lot of damage with physical attacks. And is not worth much either. And it doesn't have a death necklace. So what have I been doing for the last 10 minutes? To be fair, I've gained a couple thousand experience points, so we're that much closer to a level. So there is that. We do have this blue dragon zone in here that we've seen previously, so that portion is pretty good. The Druids are also pretty good. But I really do think that the correct move at this stage is to at least dip into Charlock, see what it's like, see what the Dragon Lord looks like, and maybe you can sneak out with a win. If the level were closer, I think the right play may have been to continue grinding, but with as much as we needed. And my personal preference, which is to hopefully have enough resources to get at least halfway through the DL2's possible range. Certainly wouldn't be able to do that at current stats. Probably was at least worth a look and a try. Finally, we reached the level. Another 1800 for the next is not terrible. We've got so much in the way of hit points. The attack power is good enough now that I think it's more reasonable, and we have a better chance. But that was certainly a long grind to get to this point. It was now, I think, over 15 minutes ago when we hit level 15. Granted, we did some exploration and futile, treasure hunting for the death necklace that wasn't. Alright, as we head in, remember that this is also quote-unquote easy Sherlock, which simply means that the agility penalty multiplier is a little bit more favorable to the player here as we dive through Sherlock against these most challenging of enemies. That said, with the randomized stats, it's very difficult to assess exactly what those are going to look like, so we're still at a disadvantage. Overall, it probably makes more sense to try to run from more things in here than attack, or at least cast Repel, Fairy Water, or something. We let Repel wear off. See how it does for us. Since MP is lacking, Repel strategy or casting Sleep against things is a little bit dicey. We've only got 7 extra MP to play with unless we start losing heal mores. I think my idea here is there's hopefully enough enemies that are decent enough that maybe I can pick up level 17 along the way? That seems like a poor choice. Again, the grind that we had was efficient enough. This is significantly less efficient and potentially dangerous if we're losing resources. So far it hasn't come back to bite us, but it certainly could at any point. Almost made it to the bottom. Do we look for the death necklace? No. And what was the point of all that? Always frustrated to watch yourself make mistakes in retrospect. Alright, we've already seen the werewolf was not all that scary. Can't do a ton of damage. We'll go down to 4 or 5 swings. Actually worth a decent bit of experience points if I did want to sit and grind there, opting not to. 10 heal mores in the tank. We're doing about 11 on average in terms of damage. We've got plenty of room for doubles, but DL1 could end all of our hopes and dreams. And he's got Dragonlord Breath. And over 100 HP. Over 130 HP. And heal more. Oh boy. Taking the risk to see if we can at least get into the DL2 fight. Still have 7 heal mores left, but opening with heal more just to survive. Can we hit a stop spell? At least it's information having been gathered. Hopefully the Dragonlord has sleep or heal. But I don't think we're winning this fight. I would be surprised if we even get into 100 plus damage range. Probably would be best after landing the stop spell to just take the death. Yeah, we didn't even do enough damage to get him into kill range, and that is a very wide kill range. We did less than 100 damage. Not good. So DL2 at least we know is going to be a force to be reckoned with, or DL1 rather. So that's going to be a problem. We can certainly plan to cast Stop Spell at the front end to avoid the heal more at least. So we'll have that piece of information that we didn't have previously. It's not that far to the next level, so it's reasonable to do that, because we really are borderline on at least getting to damage range anyway. We might go into another fight, do 130 damage, and still be nowhere closer to winning. So what difference does that make? We might as well just take a level on the way in. We said earlier that saving Gwaelin and having Gwaelin's love in the inventory to check XP per level is certainly a bit of a use case scenario, determining whether or not it's worth the time investment. In this case, I think it did provide valuable information earlier to see that there was a huge level gap between 15 and 16. Also letting us know that there's not as big of a gap here to 17, and it will allow us to see, depending on what 17 gives us, again, am I one additional kill away from level 18, or am I another 15-minute grind away, because it's 6,000 more experience points. Alright, level 17. Okay, we got a couple extra heal mores, which is pretty useful. Another 1,600 to level 18. And it looks like I'm going to continue the grind. Again, in retrospect, looking at this, looking at the stats. 8 to 17 damage, 12.5 on average. Tons and tons of hit points for double attacks. Alternatively, if we really want to sell out for it, we can look for the Death Necklace in the Treasury. We put it on during DL1, that way we maintain the high HP for safety against DL2 breath damage from him to start. Then we drop the HP, we get the extra attack power in part 2. Plus we also have the advantage of knowing that he has heal more, so stop spell we can try from the outset. It seems like trying at this level is reasonable. That said, the grind here is probably going to take less than 2 minutes. Certainly a dive all the way through Sharlock, and a Dragonlord fight that potentially could fail, ultimately is going to take significantly longer, and we would have no extra benefit from having done so other than the knowledge that whatever damage we do was not enough. In the short Sharlock scenario, I think Dragonlord fights make more sense. With full Sharlock, potentially overgrinding, in my opinion, as is the case in this flag set, probably is a little bit safer. Alright, level 18. Even more magic. 142 for the level. Now here, if this was the case previously, to me it would make sense. It's literally going to take me 10 seconds to pick it up. But the 2,000 almost that we needed Probably was not worth it, and... What a level! 1 strength. So was it worth it? Was it really worth it? Oh, the game's got jokes. Alright. To me, it's now or never. 2,500 for the next level. Certainly achievable, but not super quick to do. Looking at the stats, once again, 138 attack power without the Death Necklace, 9 to 19, 14 on average. We've got 15 heal mores. Assuming we're going to use, let's say, 2 or possibly 3 against the Dragon Lord Part 1, it leaves us with like 12-ish. Even not factoring in doubles, we're doing somewhere in the like 165, 170 range. Factoring in doubles, it's probably likely we fully clear the range, so it makes sense that we should win now. Opting to continue using the repel spell here, so that one actually did cost a heal more. Suppose thinking that it's better to just not get these silly encounters. Really, there hasn't been anything that was too tremendously dangerous, more things that were annoying and time-wasting, but again, perhaps thinking that, barring some obscenely bad DL1 luck, we really should have this one in the bag. Okay, Dragon Lord, round 2. Let's see how we do this time. Oh good, an ambush for 60. Just how it was planned. That feeling when Dragon Lord Breath is the better option. Down to 11 heal mores. I think really needing to take the risk here. Swing through, do not get the kill. But finally, mercifully, Dragon Lord casts heal and wastes his turn. So The early stop spell did pay off eventually. Gets us into Dragonlord 2 with 9 heal moors left. And really, it's just going to depend on what we run into here. How much in the way of hit points does DL2 have? Opting not to go with stop spell this time, while he may have a spell to be stopped, it doesn't seem to be sleep, which would be the dangerous one. If he has heal later, we can always try to stop spell it if we need to. But I think doing so preemptively now doesn't make sense. Well, it turns out the Dragonlord didn't have a massive pile of HP. We probably didn't need too many more swings from what we got on our first trip, so all the extra grinding may not have been warranted if we had simply gotten better luck getting through DL1 the first time, although, to be fair, apparently we did get fairly good luck. We never saw that his attack power was quite that high. We got breathed on basically every turn. So there you go, 127.03. Not a great performance in my personal opinion. I think that Week 5 has probably the biggest capability of being a real, you know, no one knows exactly what we're going to be getting into until we get into it. That's just the way chaos comes. Sometimes it's going to be really easy. It's going to lend itself to very low times with very easy level curves, easy enemies that are worth a ton of experience points, not a very difficult Charlock, not a very difficult Dragonlord. On the other hand, very difficult level curves, enemies that aren't worth very much, and Dragonlord fights that go on for days and days. So there you go, that's my thoughts on it, really. Anytime you have chaos involved, taking notes and keeping an eye on what monsters are good to fight, what things to avoid, what strategies work. Again, keeping in mind that different resistances mean that different spells that normally you wouldn't consider, things like Sleep, Stop Spell, and Hurt or Hurt More, on enemies that typically you wouldn't consider using them against is a viable strategy. Paying attention to the XP needed per level after getting Death Warped or whatever from the King, or saving Gwaelin, can be really helpful in deciding when the go level is, and ultimately go into a seed with a plan as to what you want your hopeful damage output to be before heading into, through Charlock, and taking on the Dragonlord. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me for this Week 5 flag set. As always, with a grain of salt, that these are my opinions, my thoughts, and my approaches to seeds and standard flags like these. Hopefully this was somewhat instructive and helpful for you. We'll let the credits play out, and that's going to conclude our Week 1 through 5 run-through of the regular season for Winter League. Hopefully you'll join us along the way as a spectator, commentator, or player. We will hope to see you then. Otherwise, have a good day, take care, and we'll see you next time.